third time doing Johnny English. I mean, what do you think it is about him that people flock to go and see the movies?
Well, I think they sort of identify with Johnny English as someone who's trying to do something that he's not quite qualified to do. It's that sort of sense of someone he's been put in a job that he's not wholly qualified to succeed in, and I think we can all imagine ourselves having the fantasy of playing James Bond, but knowing that we're not quite good enough, and that's Johnny English's position. He's just not good enough, but we enjoy watching him fail.
I mean, I know you've done James Bond and everyone's probably spoke to you about that, but was it nice to go back to the same kind of world but to come at it at a different angle and be a bit funnier?
It really was, yeah, and that's what, it's a part of what attracted me to it, because I had done the Bond film and it was like, actually, it was nice to plunge in that kind of same atmosphere, but with a lot of humor in it. And, humor is what I've always wanted to do, and I guess I miss comedies I missed comedies on my CV before. I think now it's starting to come, because with this one and the Man Who Killed Don Quixote and all those other comedies, it started to come. But I really wanted to do comedy, and Rowan is the king of comedy. There's no one better.
I can imagine it's great when you get word that someone wants you to write a song for a film, but when it's a British film as well, it must be extra exciting.
Yeah, of course, that was exciting, but also it was exciting to do it with Rowan, because he's such an amazing person. He's done so much in his career, and he's like a national treasure. I think I've already said that today, but he really is. He's so iconic to what, when you think of Great Britain and all the different entertainment values that this amazing country brings. Rowan's up there in the acting world. He really is. So I'm real honoured to be a part of this film today and have a song with this film. I think if it wasn't this film, I might not have done it, but it was just this film and the fact that there was this amazing scene in it that really links into the song that we're doing, and it's a real big moment in the film. So it's going to be a great moment tonight to see it again.
And what was the first inkling that they wanted you to come and direct the third movie for Johnny English?
Well, I got the call via my agent, and I had to go and meet Rowan. I'd read the script, and so I sat down one-to-one with Rowan, and we spent about an hour and a half literally just talking through every piece of the script. And we had he's a very cerebral guy, very thoughtful guy, very smart. And he went away, and I went away, and then we had another sit-down chat for similar length of time. And then I got the call saying, he wants you to do the job if you're up for it. So it was kind of like a double interview, but I think for something like this, it's so much about getting onto Rowan's wavelength, because there is no Johnny English without Rowan. And the character is something he's lived with since those Barclaycard commercials all those years ago. And his taste in comedy does affect every scene of the film, So at the script stage, at the shooting stage, everything kind of gets filtered through how Rowan sees the character. So as a director, you have to get on board with that. You can't come in and sort of impose something he's totally unprepared to do.
Yeah. When you get the script for something like this, I mean, do you see in your brain how the scenes are going to play out? Do you kind of see where the jokes are and what you think they're going to do in your head?
Well, the thing is, it's sort of a co-written thing. So it's myself and a writer working together from the very beginning. So in other words, the jokes don't come as a surprise to me, because I've been part of the process of creating them. But I suppose my job, as much as anything, is to be the expert on Johnny English, is to be the person who knows who he is and how he would react in any given situation, or the kind of scrapes that he'd get himself into. And I suppose I feel, knowing the character as well as I do, that I can give good advice to writers or to myself on the comic situations in which we could place him.
Were you a fan of Rowan? Because he's done so much stuff over his career. I mean, did you have a favourite of his?
Yeah, well, of course, we know him as Mr. Bean, but I actually did like the Johnny English ones, the previous two. So I thought, obviously because I enjoyed it, I was like, oh my God, I'd love to be part of this franchise.
What was it about your character that intrigued you? Because she's so many different things, and I won't say too much about what happens, but what intrigued you about her when you read the script?
That she was, as always the girl in the spy film. It's always the fact that she's mysterious. So the mystery about her that you actually don't know: is she good? Is she bad? Is she, what is she going to do? And obviously, you go through stages thinking she's this, but then she's something else, and then she's. And that whole thing that we don't really know, and you have to like mislead the first of all Johnny English and the audience, that was really attractive.
I mean, he's had such an amazing career. He's touched so many people in terms of he was in the 70s with Blackadder, the 80s with Mr. Bean and everything else. I mean, what was it? Was it Mr. Bean? You're the same generation as me, and it's Mr. Bean.
Of course, Mr. Bean for me. I remember just when I was a kid growing up, my mum and dad sticking this Mr. Bean character on TV, and just the whole character of it was hilarious. All these little funny moments, the quirky faces that he pulled, and just the silly things that he was getting up to, and it was just hilarious, and like I say, he's developed that over the years with different roles that he's done, but of course now the Johnny English character, it just works brilliantly, and you'll see tonight it's real typical classic slapstick English humour, which is brilliant, and it's just simple but effective, and that's what I love about Rowan. It's very good, and like I said, I got a chance to meet him recently, and it was lovely. It was nice to see. It was actually nice to meet him as the real Rowan Atkinson, not the character that you're used to seeing, which was really, really nice.
I mean, I've seen behind the scenes when he's done Mr. Bean and the other Johnny English. He's so meticulous in terms of comedy. He knows what he wants to do and what he thinks would be funny. I mean, in terms of that process, does he give and take with you, or do you just kind of let him kind of go with it because it's him that's performing it, I guess, at the end of the day?
You're absolutely right. He usually has a really clear idea of where he thinks the joke is, and we will have discussed that beforehand, and we'll generally have agreed what we think the funny thing is that we've got to try and protect in a scene or bring to the fore in a scene. But he does always need input, and a lot of the time it's reassuring him, yes, we did nail it on that take, and you did do the thing with the eyebrow that you wanted to do at the moment you did, and you turned at just the right time, and to make him feel confident that he's got it, because he is a perfectionist. And he's never entirely happy, because there's always a part of him thinking, well, if I just did one more, maybe I could get it even better. But that's all you hope for, really, is that you can work with people who really aim high. And that's certainly true of Rowan.
We are about to have the London Film Festival, and Don Quixote is playing in the festival, so we are going to see it. I mean, what was that experience like, being with Terry Gilliam and Jonathan Pryce and Adam Driver? Because it looks fantastic. It looks he's waited so long to make the film.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, I loved working with Terry, and I'm like very excited that we're going to do the premiere. I think it's going to be on the 16th. But yeah, that was like crazy set, like everybody running around and laughing and shouting, but in a good way, and Terry is very much of a character. So it's like, I work with like one of the two best in comedy. There's Terry. Well, he has his own amazing world.
You can die happy now in a comedy.
Yeah, exactly. I've done it.
You've done it. Yeah. Outside of the comedy, I mean, what did you find was the biggest challenge? Because it's such a big canvas, and there's so much action going on as well as the comedy. I mean, what was the biggest challenge in kind of bringing all those things together to make a funny film?
I think at the end of the day, this has to work as a comedy first and foremost, but it is an action comedy, and I didn't want the action scenes to kind of sit on top of the comedy in a way that felt superfluous. I wanted the action scenes to punch their weight comedically or in terms of character. So I think one of the biggest challenges was making sure that that's what they were doing, and also that the laughs keep coming, because I didn't want those kind of desert stretches where the tumbleweed is blowing and people are waiting for the next laugh. So I think really to get that sense of it being a journey with momentum and where you're not waiting long for the next laugh.
Yeah. I mean, the great thing about Johnny English as well is that it is very family-centric in many ways, and that we're bereft of kind of live-action family movies because a lot of it's animated these days. I mean, it must be nice to do something that is going to have a big audience and is going to have laughs from people from 8 to 80.
I think you're absolutely right. There are very few live-action family comedies being made. It's nearly all animated stuff. So to be part of that on Johnny English was fantastic. And I think this is a movie that you can take the family to, and young and old. There's something, I think most of us have got an 8-year-old inside us, we've never really grown up. But it really is something that you can all find something to laugh at. So I think it's a perfect kind of parent and kid movie.
Yeah. And what was it about David that made him the perfect director? Because I'm sure you could have picked a lot of different directors to do this one, but what was it about him that made him kind of perfect for this?
Well, David has a good track record of dealing with writer-performers, people who don't just act roles but actually create the roles or co-create the roles. And that's what we needed, really, for Johnny English. We need someone who, I suppose, is guided as much as anything by my instincts and and what I want to achieve. So he's a tremendously nice guy but tremendously empathetic to the needs of a creative person. And that's what you need in a director for a movie like this.
One of the things when I was growing up particularly, there was always music videos for films. We don't seem to get as many of them these days. I mean, is this the sort of thing that you've done the thing and you can get Rowan to be in a music video that you'd like to do it somewhere down the line?
Well, who knows if he's in the music video? I don't know yet. But yeah, I mean, I think it used to be done, didn't it? Many years ago, you used to get a lot of actors going into doing music videos because the song was in the film. So hopefully, if we can make that happen, it would be amazing. Because I think it will really do. It would really sell the song for me. And I think it'd be great if we did that more often. Because I think it's just time schedules. That's all it comes down to. For me, if you can get the person there and you can make it happen, amazing. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get him in the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.